Okay, today we're here in the behind the scenes of Atlantis studio in Stockholm, legendary Swedish recording studio, with Johan Hällgren, aka Hällelec, to talk about some of his projects. We've known each other for a few years.
Yeah.
I first came in contact with Johan's distortion or gain pedal.
Yeah.
A tube-driven gain pedal that a friend of mine bought, and that's how we struck up a friendship. Johan's been rebuilding a microphone for me that we'll talk about in the future, not today. But today we're gonna talk about some of Johan's own project. Yeah, how did you start building?
Well, I started building when I was around 15, 16. I got into guitar pedals, started playing electric guitar. So I built at home. I took it's called a fire alarm and took the transistors out of it. And nice. I built a very simple fuzz circuit.
Would that have been, aren't those fire boxes radioactive?
Some parts of them are probably, but they were just regular, all-purpose NPN transistors.
Then I'm relieved.
Yeah, so I started with that, and then I studied music production at the time, and I was really interested in old guitar gear and started building a tube amplifier.
Wow.
Before I didn't have any education in like electronics or so, but I just read a lot about it in papers and on the internet. So
for me, I mean, that's something I've been wanting to get into, but the high voltages really scare me.
Yeah.
How did you relate to that when you were 15?
I was scared, but I also realized you have to treat it with respect, and you have to know what you're doing and always double check that there's no voltage in it when you're working on it.
Okay, so we're doing this collaboration now with Lundahl. That's why I called you, because I know you use Lundahl transformers in some of your compressors.
Yeah.
I've had the fortune of trying one of your very new stereo compressors, and they sound incredible.
Yeah.
How did you manage? I went down a complete rabbit hole of very new compressors at one point when I realized, okay, I have the budget right now to buy a really nice tube compressor, and I had to try quite a few before I was satisfied. How much time did you spend developing that design?
I started building it, the first compressor that now lives downstairs at Atlantis. The first year I studied audio engineering in PTO, and I finished it by the time I got here and started working, so about 3 years. It wasn't like 40 hours a week for 3 years. I did some stuff when I had the time, but I also had the chance to, like, for a long time work with different varying compressors and realize what I like and what's common for the ones I like.
Because that's what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You service old equipment for Atlantis and for other studios? Right?
Yeah, other studios as well.
And what's on your bench today?
Today is, one thing, lately I've restored these, I don't know if you can get a shot of them. These Berlant old American tape recorders. Kind of advanced home tape recorder and playback system. I think they're from 55 or 56.
They look advanced. If I had this in my home, I would consider myself advanced.
So it's they playback at 15 inches per second, like pretty hi-fi for a home system. But yeah, I've gone through them all and recapped and changed all the paper capacitors that are in this. This is kind of funny. They ship without input and output transformers. So I wired up a Lundahl for the microphone input. Some old Lundahls I had lying around.
Ah, right. Yeah. I've been, it's funny, in America in the 50s and 60s and up until the 70s.
Yeah.
They had these plug-in transformers.
Yeah.
But I've actually bought equipment a lot of times where, for instance, I bought a Bose monophonic microphone mixer.
Yeah.
Where they had just taken out all the transformers. To be used in different, I don't know, other projects, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really common. Berlant had their own kind, and then Langevin and Hällelec, they are all made. So I've seen people like rewire the sockets for these and use other kinds of transformers because the original ones are hard to get.
And I suppose Langevin has become almost
non-existent.
Yeah,
so
impossible
expensive.
to get.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
very, 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 very pricey.
Yeah, I looked on eBay.
Yep.
For this, and like 2 inputs and 2 outputs would have been like as much as the owner paid for this. So
wow.
Not really viable. But this works. It's also reversible, so if you ever find the original ones, you can just plug them in.
Right. We had a letter sent in from one of our viewers who was asking, what's the difference between a digital recreation of compression and actual analog compression?
Well, I think plug-in coders and builders have really, if you pull up a 1176 or similar plug-in, it's really close.
Even because I've found at, in the so-called British mode, with really short attack, really short release, that if you really push it, I haven't gotten quite that thing. But I don't know what your take on that is.
I think that's mainly due to the same reason Varimus aren't as close digitally. It's because that puts the compressor in a really non-linear mode, and it's kind of hard to predict how it's going to react to an input signal. But the analog one will react the way it will react. But the digital, it's kind of hard to program that. I'm not into programming, so I don't know really how hard it is.
I'm not into programming, but I mean, I use digital recreations of Varimus compressors every day on a daily basis, and I love that sound too. Yeah. But some things, I don't know, some things you just can't get.
And I think most of that is it's in the name Varimus. It's variable amplification, and that brings the knee in a Varimus compressor is variable depending on how much you compress and how much you feed into the compressor.
Right. So depending on the frequency content of the music, you get a different knee.
Yeah, exactly. And also not just frequency but also level of input.
Of course, yes.
That's a hard thing to recreate digitally.
Right. Also, I wanted to ask you this, because I don't know. What's the difference between... Because the Fairchild is an automatic gain control circuit, right?
Yeah.
It's not... There's a difference between compression and AGC, no? Or is there? Mystery.
I'd say it's the same thing. You have a basic amplifier that's controlled by a control voltage. So in the Fairchild, it's you have the amplifier for the audio, and then at the end of it you have a tap that goes back to the sidechain circuit, where it's converted to DC, and then you feed that back into the first stage, and that it's negative DC, so it changes the bias of the first tubes, of the first stage in the compressor, and that controls the amplification of the first stage, and that then it's like a big feedback loop, essentially.
Right.
What you put into it changes how much amplification you have.
Mystery solved. All right.
Right.
Thanks, Johan, for showing us your stuff and your products.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. It's our pleasure. We'll see you this afternoon at
You
Base
will.
Camp.